Hello, welcome to Exotic Gardening UK, Yorkshire Kris Weekly, and on this week's episode we're looking at a focal point in the garden, the jungle hut. So I think it's really important that a garden has focal points and also places to stop and rest and have a look around the garden as well. And in my garden, halfway down is what I call my jungle hut, and this is one of the main focal points of my garden, which you can see in frame now. And from this point you can see lots of interesting views around the garden. So we're going to have a look from inside the jungle hut, looking around to see what we can see and why I think this is a good place to have a stop and have a look around the garden. So now let's have a look at what we can actually see from the jungle hut. Just starting in this direction by the fence, we've got some flowers of Aloe striatula, the yellow and orange flowers just in the background to the right, and in front of that we have a Trachycarpus princeps palm, and if we just look down slightly we can see we've got some phormiums, and we've also got the pond just down there as well, and that pond goes all the way across the garden. And if we just pan up in full bloom, we've got some wonderful yuccas there, curvifolia, beautiful ivory blossoms, are edible if you wish to try them as well, stunning in the sunlight. And to the right we've got beautiful bamboo, nice and statuesque by the fence there, adding some structure. And this is a good view all year round because these are all evergreen plants in this area. And then if we just pan across again, we have the archway, and we've got the post of the jungle hut framing that area. Got some hemicalis daylilies down there, and then just in the foreground, a few shadows, we've got a beautiful Hercules calla lily, the chocolate vine and passion flower going over the archway over there. And then we get a bit of a break because we've got the grasses, Miscanthus sacrifolius giganteus cross, which sort of divides the garden at this point. And as we go around we get the huge leaves of Gunnera manicarta that are about 2.5 meters tall here, very tall. And in front of that we've got the zebra grass, which is starting to flower just here. And then as we go around we go to the loquat tree, bamboo hedge, and the amazing Scheffler macrophylla here. And this is a great view here. This is the opening into the jungle hut, so there's no posts, barriers going across, and we can see we've got a huge tree fern, Dixonia antarctica at the top there. In the very immediate foreground we've got another Scheffler, Tawaniana, that's had a nice flush, and then we've got the onset bananas in between, and that pinky purple flower there, that's Geranium palmatum. And then the red leaves in the bottom left corner is Persicaria, red dragon. So that's the main view I get from sitting in the jungle hut, which I hope you can agree is pretty good. And then as we pan round further still, looking back towards the house, we've got the main tropical bed of the Persicaria, the cannas, the bananas, and then the palm trees, all the Trachycarpus species down by the fence line. So that's the view inside the jungle hut. And I chose this point, like I said, it's halfway down the garden, it's a good stopping point, and you get panoramic views looking all the way around at loads of interesting different types of plants all the way around. And as we look in the jungle hut itself, we can see it's basically constructed of timbers going in a hexagonal pattern with plywood, and then it's got roofing felt on top of the plywood and then thatch on top of that, which we'll look at from the outside, and then these big posts are going into the ground, which you can't quite see because of the shadows. There we go, into the ground, and I've got decking boards going across, so it's raised up a bit. Under here was an apple tree which we cut down, and then we built the jungle hut above where the apple tree used to stand. And then the actual rails going across are these big bamboo rails that I drilled holes into, and then I just screwed them into the upright timber posts, and they've been there now for 5 years, nice and secure. They've weathered pretty well. Just going to give them a clean once a year, and they're looking pretty good. So now we look at the outside of the jungle hut, and we can see that it's got the nice thatch on. This thatch, like I said, has been here 5 years, and I expect it'll last sort of between 7 and 8 years. I think it's got a few more years before I need to replace it, and it's basically made of thick thatched tiles, and they're layered up on top of each other. So if we have a look, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers of thatch, and we've got the central cone at the top to give it a weatherproof seal. And yes, you might get a few spiders living in here, but that's just on the outside. Inside, we've got the plywood. I've had no animals living in here at all, to be honest. No spiders or bugs, and we've had no water coming in. It's been completely bone dry in here since it was made 5 years ago. And people have asked how it's actually constructed. Well, basically what we did was we drew a circle on the ground, and we put 6 big posts into the ground, so there's about 2 foot under the ground, and then cemented in. And then we put the decking base down here, and then the roof itself, so you got basically pieces of wood going round in hexagonal shape, and then we built the roof on going up to central point. Then it was a plywood, then it was a felt, and then it was the thatch. So this is not a how to make a jungle hut video, but that's a very quick process of how it was made. So it wasn't off plan, it was made for this space. And this is simply another view of the jungle hut from further down the garden, looking back over the pond area. Thank you for watching this edition of Exotic Gardening UK. Join me next week, we'll be doing more in the garden.